company has $1 billion in assets and $2 billion in liabilities, let's say. Right? The investors, when the company goes bankrupt because they have no more liquidity in their system.
Oh, well, look, I'm just going to jump ahead of this. Look, asshole. You're talking like the ABCs here, all right? There's no indication that I don't grasp the concept of what bankruptcy is. That's not the issue of what bankruptcy is. The issue is who ultimately pays for it, asshole.
And their liabilities are way bigger than their assets. I mean, that would be a horrible situation for business, obviously. Investors... Right? Now, you've got the company, okay? This is the part that you think happens. You think that somehow the employees, the executives, the CEOs, they all get to keep their money, you know? They have shares in the company too, by the way. You think they all get to keep their, you know, salaries for whatever reason. You think you can suck money out of their salaries after they already earned it, whatever. But you think that investors get to keep their money when creditors are left holding the whole bill, right? But even if that was the case, even if
well, of course that is the case, and the whole way you phrase things is so stupid. It's like I'm the one who wants to take people's salary away. You're the one who believes in stealing people's salary. That is the only way you can glean profit from capital, is to steal the value of productive work. Work is what makes money valuable. You're not going to come up with any other explanation for what makes money valuable other than work. All right, productive work. So you're the one who is advocating stealing from productive workers.
Let's hold the whole bill. Creditors are consumers. Creditors are businesses. They're in business too, just like they were. So, but the point is, that, you know, investors do pay. In this case, they're paying half the fucking liability. And you're arguing they should pay the whole liability. You're arguing all those investors should pool together twice the amount of money to get $2 billion to pay the creditors. I mean, it's just nonsense. I'm explaining.
No, it's not just nonsense. That you take responsibility for the risks you take. If you're going to take the risks, then you got to pay the piper. You haven't done anything. Use my analogy. All right, you're riding in a train. You're driving, and you decide to drive too fast. Okay, so should you have a right to jump out of the train? Avoid the wreck, avoid the cost of the wreck, okay? All of that, just because, and you got the experience of the fast ride, okay, to get where you want to go faster, and somebody else has the liability. Why should it work that way? Why shouldn't you be liable? You invested in the reckless behavior. Why shouldn't you be completely and fully liable for that investment, for that choice, for that decision to invest in recklessness? Or why shouldn't you be obligated on your own then to buy insurance against your recklessness? Why should your recklessness be everybody else's problem? It's almost like saying, well, let's just socialize, by your theory, let's just socialize automobile insurance, right? Let's just give everybody free insurance, right? And so everybody, even people without cars, should now pay for the liability of car accidents. So you're the socialist here. You're the one. You're the controller of the economy here. When you say that I'm going to create escape hatches and secret ladders and all kinds of little ways for people to escape their liability.
Capitalism eliminates waste. Government creates waste. You see, the difference here is when you set up a government-run operation, especially in your system where you set minimum and maximum wages. You've already outlined what you're going to charge, what you're going to pay your employees. It's not determined by the market. You set that, right? And for some reason, you think this will be more efficient than the market. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if your economy existed, and I was allowed to come in and create my own capitalistic businesses, I would just ruin your whole country. I would become the fucking ruler, because every one of my businesses would be more efficient. I'd come in there and make smart decisions so I can improve my wealth. I mean, you know, I would cut these wages down. You know,
There you go. See, you have to rely on exploiting somebody to say you could even make you said you make a smarter decision. No. What would those smarter decisions be? You're going to be smarter than somebody making $250,000 a year. Okay, that's your contention. And no, your smartness comes down to is, no, I'm going to exploit people, and so therefore I'm going to have an advantage. Well, what if there's something called full employment? All right, so if there's full employment, if we find work for everyone at the minimum salary, well, then you're going to have nobody to exploit at a lower salary because no one's going to be stupid enough to work for your salary. And that's a very feasible thing to do, to say that yes, anybody willing to work can work for a fair wage. There's plenty of things that need doing. There's plenty of bridges or this or that or whatever that need fixing and maintenance and all this other stuff that needs to be done, and we can find work for people at a fair wage. But even if we didn't do that, even if it was true, and okay, I did my system and I paid, the lowest paid guy was $35,000, and you figured out a way that you could get that lowest guy for $15,000. The point is every salary above that, you're probably not going to be more competitive. Okay, you're not going to be able to get those people to work for you for less money. All right, it's not going to happen because through my graduated system, most of the employees are going to be paid very well. They're not going to have any interest in working for you. Period. Secondly, even if, like I said, you were able to save some costs by exploiting the labor, it's still you're not going to have enough savings in that exploitation to finance the gluttons who want a 12% return on your company every year. So you're going to have to take a big giant piece of profits and give them to people who are going to say, look, I'm a parasite, I'm a bloodsucker, I want to be fed. So you're the one with this giant leech to feed, okay, that I don't have that liability. In my business. So, you're not going to be, it's not going to be that easy for you to sit there and just walk in and be more competitive.
People that are working at the lower levels don't need to be paid $40,000 a year. It's just that simple. I'd cut down that wage. That's just a waste. Why spend all that money?
Yeah, why? Why respect human dignity, and why not take advantage of people, right? I mean, it's not your fault. You didn't create China, right? You didn't exploit them for 2,000 years and give them, leave them behind the industrial curve. And so the fact that they have a chaotic government and a horrible civilization in terms of it being left behind of the Industrial Revolution, that's just something you have a right to take advantage of, that you feel the liberty to take advantage of because it exists. So as long as there's the deprivation and the desperation to take advantage of, you feel you have a right to do that. And that just points out what a deplorable and disgusting human being you are. All right, because that's all you see is something to exploit, and it's disgusting. There's no other word for it. It's just plain disgusting. We don't have to have a world where there are people who are put in a position where desperation will oblige them to basically enslave themselves to the system. That world doesn't have to exist. The only reason why it does exist is because you endorse it and you maintain it.
Money on that person when he's not worth that much, type of system. And he'd work hard, because if he works hard, I'll give him a promotion. If he works hard, I'll give him an increase in salary. Same with the executive. They work hard, they produce more, I'll give them a raise. So, I'm not going to go into that any further. The whole point is, you think this is going to be so efficient because you're paying people fairly. It's going to be so efficient because, there's no investors involved. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's going to be efficient because people have to show up and do their work, and they'll get paid for being productive. And they won't have any incentive to steal from the company. And I won't have the liability of ineffective or inefficient workers like you will, because you'll underpay your employees, give them a rotten attitude, and they'll do everything they can to fuck you over. Yeah, and it's more civilized, period. But yeah, the bottom line, like I said, you've basically admitted the equation. The way you glean wealth out of the economic system is through exploitation of laborers, because you've decided that if there are a surplus of a certain number of people or a certain kind of people, you have a right to exploit them.
Increases prices. Competition is what makes things efficient. If you set up a government agency there's only one government agency, it's called monopoly, right? Monopolies aren't efficient. If you set up a government agency that would say provide electricity,
Has nothing to do with creating a government monopoly, you asshole. Okay, monopolies get created because of the circumstances. There are capitalist monopolies right now because that's the way in certain parts of the economy and it's going to create, it's just conducive to the creation of monopolies. Google's a good example. That's just the way the world works, and you have to create protections against those. That's why we do have some regulation to prevent those monopolies from getting created. And that's the other thing you just completely ignore in this conversation is what happens when power is consolidated. Because now the whole competitive environment breaks down. If I'm a company like Google that has billions of dollars in reserve, I certainly could lose millions of dollars for years, and I could stay in business. That's just the fact. Now, some competitor, they're going to have those same reserves. They're going to have the same capacity to survive a drought, to be able to do business, to compete with me. And in the end, I will be the survivor. And we've seen that businesses did that. AT&T did that. They just drove the competition out of business because they could just shut down the profit machine for years, and then everybody's out of the business. And then it's all theirs, and then they can just raise prices, exploit the consumer, and make huge profits. So, you know, you're not defending the mechanisms that exist in your system, the brokenness that exists in your system. You're just denying its existence. And you can't deny the existence of these failures.